What's up, it's your boy Trident Fishing, and I'm going to show you how to turn all this into this. Stick around. Alright, thank you guys for tuning in. Today we're going to make 2 surf rod holders. We're going to make the 3-prong surf rod holder, and we're going to make the 2-prong surf rod holder. Let's go ahead and jump in and we'll get started. The tools that you'll need today are real simple. So we got our saw, we got our glass wine bottle, we have our heat gun, we have 2 10-foot, 1.5" PVC pipes. All of the fittings, all of the pipe today will be done with 1.5". You can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot, you can pick this up. I think it's $6.50 for one of these 10-foot pieces. One of these 10-foot pieces will make us 1 rod holder. We have 2 1.5" 4-ways. Make sure and note that each of these is a female end. We have 3 1.5" 90-degree angles. I have 1 1.5" cap. This is optional, you don't have to do it, but I think it's a nice finishing touch. You'll see at the end. I have 1 1.5" 90, and you'll note with the male end and the female end. And we have our PVC primer and glue. So let's go ahead and start measuring, get cutting, and I'll run you through the basics of what we're going to do step by step, and I'll put in the chapters in the video so you can go step by step through the chapters. Let's get measuring. Alright, so we're going to start with the Trident. We're going to have a 5-foot piece to the teat. We're going to do 10 inches this way, 10 inches this way. We're going to go elbow up to 1 foot, 1 foot. The reason I'm cutting this piece 10 inches is so this top piece that's remaining will be 14 inches. It'll be a little bit higher than the 2 other pieces. The reason I'm doing 12 inches up on either side is the standard pole's butt is right about 12 inches. With the standard pole being right about 12 inches, a smaller rod will be able to sit on the side of the big one, and it won't be so loose that you have to be afraid a fish hits it and pulls it in. The middle is going to be hollow straight down. So even if you have a bigger surf rod butt, it's not going to be dangling up on the top because it's only 14 inches. It will be straight down. You can see this surf rod is already 23, and this isn't even one of the bigger ones that I have. I have a 13-foot HDX that probably has close to 36 inches of butt on it. So we want to have that middle piece be completely hollow so it can slide all the way in there. So it's really quite simple. We're going to measure off 5 feet. We're going to measure off 2 10 inches and 2 12 inches, and then the remainder should be about 14 inches, and that'll be the centerpiece going on top. Once we get it all measured out, we'll cut it and we'll put it together. So let's get our measurements taken care of. Alright, we have our measurement all done. Let's get to cutting. So the next part's the easiest thing. We're going to assemble it, and I'll show you why Trident is so convenient to have. So we have our 5-foot piece. Like I said in the beginning, 2 10-foot pieces on either side. This is where the small elbows come in. The longer male and female elbow I'm going to do on the 2-prong Trident rod holder, because that one won't have the option for 3 rods. It'll just have the option for 1 big rod, 1 small rod, and then a bait bucket or a net. Now we have both 12-inch pieces. And finally, our last and taller 14-inch piece. Now you may ask yourself, why is it so tall? Well, I'm going to bury at least 18 to 2 feet in this thing. So when it's all said and done, it'll actually be only 4 to 4.5 feet out of the sand, out of the surf. Listen, we're gonna go to the backyard and I'm gonna show you what it looks like with the big pole and with the small pole on there. Stick around. The next one I'm gonna actually show you how to glue it. You're gonna want to glue this down. But let's go out in the grass and I'll show you actually what it looks like with everything geared up on it. So you can imagine this thing about 2 feet lower, buried in the sand. I have my big pole casted out there or run out there. I have my second pole, my light rod, and the first or second gut with a live mullet or some fish bites. Maybe we're trying to catch a few small speckled trout, some red or some whiting or skipjack for bait. I got my bait bucket holding right here. I have everything I need. I don't have to run back to the car for anything. If I have an over the sling tackle box, I can throw it across here. If I have a backpack, I can throw it across here. And we have everything we need right here in the, wherever we're fishing at.
I can't always look out.
Let's go ahead and get started on the second Trident rod holder we're going to make. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. The dimensions aren't going to be quite as large as the first. The upper piece is only going to be about 12 inches. The second piece will be 12 inches, and the arm won't be quite as long as 10 inches. We'll probably shorten it a little bit. It's going to be a little bit more compact. If you get out there and 6 foot is too big for you, you can always go back later and cut a foot off of your 5 foot piece and then shorten it a little bit. Okay, I got my pieces cut for my second Trident. This is going to be a shorter, more compact Trident. I'm going to go ahead and glue this one. The one sitting behind me is not glued. I'll go back later and I'll glue that one. So you pick this glue up at the same spot. It's got the purple primer on one side and it's got the glue on the other side. Just a note, that acetone is pretty caustic on your hands, so if you want to wear a glove when you're doing it, it's probably a good idea. It's also a good idea just to kind of know, put it together once, and so you kind of know in your mind where the pieces are, and then go back and glue each one together. So we know this is our main piece. We have our short arm. We have the little connector to our male-female piece. The male piece comes up. We're going to put the cap there. We have our longer piece on top. We have our shorter piece here with our 90 elbow. And our longer piece there. So here's the dimensions. I haven't glued it yet, but just in my mind, okay, I know this is going to go there, this is going to go here, this is going to go here. And so that way when it's time to glue it, I know exactly what I'm doing. I still have to flange out both of these ends. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and glue this on, and glue this on, and get this drying. While this is drying, I'll flange those other two and then I'll come back and do the rest. If you've never glued before, I'll show you step by step how to glue the PVC together. You're going to do the purple primer and then you're going to do the glue, and then you've got to pop it in there and hold it tight. Count to 5. And I got to let you know, it dries pretty quick. So you want to be pretty precise. If you go in there and it's sideways, it's going to dry like that. So we'll do our left smaller elbow first. Once that dries, that is not coming loose. You want to go at least a solid inch in to the pipe with the primer. This is what I'm talking about. This is one of those angles you want to be straight. So after you get it straight and you press it on, you make sure it's straight, because once you press it in there, it's going to dry like that. You're not going to be able to wiggle it shut, but it's going to be rock solid once it's dried. Now that's going to be rock solid once it dries.
Can't always look
Now here's an extra tip to make it just a little bit better. We're gonna flange the end. And this is what we use our heat gun, and this is what we use our bottle, our glass bottle, and our ice water for. So let's jump in and flange this. This pipe will get hot when you start to use the heat gun on it. When the pipe starts to get hot, you know it's just about ready to use the wine bottle to flange it open. If it gets too hot, have a glove handy. Let's see if I need a glove or not. So the reason why I have the ice water is after we use the heat gun and use the wine bottle, we're gonna dip it so it hardens up again and keeps that shape. We're gonna give it a few seconds, then I'm gonna heat it up again, and I'm gonna get my Allen wrench and I'm gonna bend it even more. So that way it's an even rounder, almost 90-degree angle off. So what we're gonna do is just slowly turn it as we apply the heat to the pipe. If you see it start to turn yellow or brown, it's getting a little too hot. You might want to rotate a little faster. Let's get it.
I can't always look out.
Okay, the PVC is starting to get hot on my hands now. I'm going to do it for a few more seconds, grab the wine bottle, and then show you how we do it. Get it in there and push. So if we wait too long, you can actually see it start to go back to its original shape. So you want to push it in there and then dunk it in the ice water. So we didn't let it cool down, and we got a nice flanged out piece. You can stop here, but we're gonna go one step further. We're gonna heat it up again, and we're gonna bend it down. So that way we can get an even more angled, nice piece on it. It's wanting to go back to its original shape, so we're gonna go ahead start working it. You don't want to do too much of the grip. You don't want to go more than like a ½ inch down. You'll just kind of bend it out of shape and it won't hold. Probably 3/8 inch to a ½ inch is a nice starting point. And as it cools, it will start to hold its shape. So we kind of want to keep going all the way around as it cools. And then when we get a nice shape, we can dunk it. You can also try and smush it on the concrete and try and get that. But I find if you do this first and then smush it on the concrete, you get a little bit better results. So there we go. It's just a nice extra feature to have when it's kind of rounded off like this. It just sits a little bit smoother and it's just ergonomically a lot better. Whenever you don't round off the edge, it always seems to want to lift up a little. And it just never seems to fit quite right. This way, it can really, when the surf weight is digging in, it's not going to be rocking and rolling. It'll just be sitting there holding on. So we got our rod tip flanged. You may say to yourself, like, even if I don't want to make a trident, let's say I just want to go and get a 10-foot piece and cut it in half. This little step is so easy to do, and it makes a pretty good difference when you're out there on the water. It's just something that's convenient and easy to do. If you don't have a heat gun, you can get a butane torch and do the same thing. You can have a cigar lighter or even a regular lighter. It's just about heating that up and bending it. So even if you don't have a heat gun, you can still get the same results. Okay, I flanged my last two pieces. We'll get them glued on and I'll show you exactly how strong it really is.
Can't always look out.
Last piece and we'll be all done. It really doesn't take long to dry. And the time it took me to flange these two, this arm is already rock solid. Alright, so there you have it. So I know I've taken it outside and showed you, but this is pretty much the premise. I have my big surf rod with my super long butt. It can go all the way down the middle. I have my net right here. I have my bait bucket right here. I have a second surf rod, first or second gut. This one way out, fourth, fifth, or beyond gut. And you have everything nice and convenient right here in front of you. So thank you guys for watching. If you got enjoyment out of this video, if you learned something, if you made this project, if you're going to make this project, give it a thumbs up. It'll help it in the algorithm. Comment down below. It helps it. And consider subscribing. Till next time. So this is the perfect example of the Trident. I've got one big pole way out there. I got a second pole in like the second gut, just chilling there. And then a third one is just resting there. So I go grab my bait bucket and get some mullet out. It's basically like having a third hand. All right. Thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.
I can't